Welcome to the Mastery with Michael podcast, hosted by yours truly, Michael Emily Schuster. I'm here to help you stop spinning your wheels and start operating like a truly mastered CEO. On this podcast, I'm pulling back the curtain on the calibrated business systems, magnetic messaging, and sales psychology I use to help my students build full-time online businesses. I'll be giving you my best advice, internal trainings, and the mindset shifts required to start scaling your expertise and achieve complete mastery over your business. Welcome back to the podcast. Welcome if you're new here. I always get a little bit nervous, a little bit jittery before pressing record. It's still just, that excitement, those nerves of I am not yet 100% chill, cool cucumber with doing podcasting, but that's a good thing. And I'm going to probably hit on that theme again and again and again in this episode, because what I'm going to share with you today is my story. I'm just going to lay it all out there, like everything about me. We're going to go all the way back to the beginning and just go over the trajectory of my entire, I'm coming up on 31 years. My birthday is this Friday. I'm recording this on Monday. So it just seems like the perfect time to, kind of reflect on who I am, where I've been, all of the decisions that I've made that have got me to who I am and where I am today. And another huge reason for me sharing my story, one, so that you can get to know me, so that you can get to like me, so that you can get to trust me, so that we can be friends, we can have a relationship through this crazy, wild thing that we do that's called posting on the internet, building businesses online, and, providing value to each other through this insane medium that we get to explore. It's like the wild, wild west out here, and we're just figuring it out as we go. The other big reason is because I want to just demonstrate for you the power of owning your story and inspire you to tell more of your own story. There have been levels and layers of me owning the truth of what my story really is. And there have been parts that have been really edgy for me to claim and hold and be like, yeah, no, I really did that. That's something that I did that I can claim. And I'm sure that that's an experience that you go through as well, where it's like, can I really take the credit for this thing that I was part of and now I'm not part of it? But it's like, it's all part of who you are and it's all your journey to becoming. And so through the telling of my story, I want you to feel like you can have the courage, you can be brave, and you can share your own story as well. Because in this world of online marketing, the wild, wild west of business on the internet, it's like your story is the thing that makes you unique, that makes you unlike anyone else, that puts you in a category of one. And the more that you can stand behind your story, the more that you can share it prolifically, off the cuff, in every piece of content, in every offer, in every conversation that you create and foster, the more you're going to be able to build a strong, recognizable brand that your people are attracted to. At the end of this episode, I also have an incredible opportunity for you to get your hands on an amazing business building course curriculum. It's my flagship creative business accelerator course, everything that I did to hit my first 10K as an online business, going from zero to like your first sale ever or your first 10K as an online coach, as an online business owner, is the hardest leap to make. And so I have poured all of my knowledge, my blood, sweat, tears, energetics, everything into this course for you. But it's now not the most updated version of my expertise. And so what I'm teaching, coaching, and offering now to my current students is an evolved version of that. That is my 6-month business accelerator course called Business and Messaging Mastery. And so I've just had Creative Business Accelerator over here doing nothing. And I decided it is time to put this out there to offer it to you completely for free. All the details are going to be at the end of this episode for you to get your hands on this insane asset, this insane bank of knowledge, and yeah, take your business from zero or wherever you're at on your way to your first 10K as an online business owner and make that happen easier, faster, with less hiccups and speed bumps. And now back to the episode. My story. If you are brand new to my world, and you've never seen or heard of me before, this is just coming across your feed randomly, this is the perfect time for you to just get indoctrinated into the mastery world that I am building. My name is Michael Emily Schuster, but my name was not always Michael Emily Schuster. And that is just the perfect place to start my story because it is like my first, like really clear and vivid memory is having a conversation with my mom. I was 3 years old, between 3 and 4 at the time. And I'm telling my mom or asking her if I can change my name. Basically, I want to change my name. I need to change my name. And she's like, okay, well, you can go by your middle name. And I was born Emily Michael. But from that day forward, I was determined. I was set. I wanted everyone to call me Michael. We got it legally changed when I was 14, so it's on all my documents as Michael Emily. And I think that story, it's part of my identity, and it's helpful to have kind of this point that you can look back on in your own story to be like, this is who I've always been. And this is the evidence that I've always been this kind of person. For me, it's like decisive, confident. I know who I am and how I want to express myself. If you're into astrology, I've got a ton of Leo placements. So that creative, charismatic, like desire to be in the spotlight, desire to lead myself first was there at 3.5 years old where I'm like, no, call me Michael. I know you named me Emily, but I need to be called Michael, right? And I had a lot of friends, neighbors, people in our little family friend group that resisted and didn't want to call me Michael. They're like, no, your name is Emily. We're calling you Emily. And I flat out refused to acknowledge them. I said, my name is Michael. I won't respond if you call me Emily. Like, this is my name now. This is the thing. And so a little invitation for you to take some time thinking, journaling, or meditating on like, what is that identity of yours that is innate, that is inborn, that has been there from the very beginning? And how can you connect to that version of yourself even more strongly now? Because in between the ages of like being a little kid and then making it to adulthood, we take on all these stories, we take on all of these rules about how to be in the world and who to be. And really, when it comes down to it, life, business, it's all just a bit of a journey back to the beginning to regain that truth, that identity that we somehow forgot about along the way. And so reconnecting to that version of myself has been so healing, so powerful. The next really core memory that I want to take you through was a decision that I made around the age of, it had to be from like 10, 11, 12 would have been the years where this was like absolutely my sole focus in life. And to give you a little bit more of the landscape, the background, the context, I grew up on a tiny little family farm in the middle of nowhere, 12 miles outside of a tiny little town of 500 people, pretty much in the middle of nowhere, a little bit isolated, a little bit, sheltered, right? My parents, very loving, hardworking, incredible people who I respect and deeply love very much. They were strict and they had a lot of rules for my sister and I, and we weren't allowed to watch TV. Cartoons was not even an option. It was like go play outside in the barn or you can read books. We might, we have like a family movie night or something. My sister and I would occasionally get to watch something on the VHS, right? A movie. But basically, we kind of grew up in this little world, this little bubble. And around 10 years old, I, like probably every other farm girl, rural girl, almost every girl goes through a horse phase, right? And there was nothing that I wanted more than a horse. Oh my gosh, mom and dad, please, please, can I have a horse? Now, my mom and dad had no experience with horses. They're like, they're expensive. We don't know anything about them. There's a lot that goes into taking care of a horse. You have to have proper training to know even how to ride them, to deal with them. Like, absolutely no, it's never going to happen. So just forget about it. But I did not forget about it. I did not. I made a deal with my parents. I started bargaining with them. I said, if I buy the horse myself, can I have it? And they thought, well, we want to instill in our kids these values of like, yeah, if you work hard, you can have what you want. But at the same time, we really don't want her to have a horse. But maybe if she proves it to us that she's capable, also she's 10 years old, this is probably just going to be a phase. She's going to forget about it. And how's she going to come up with the money to get a horse? Yada, 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 right? But they make the deal. They say, okay, if you buy it yourself, you can have a horse. Cool. Done deal. Well, guess what? I had a few tricks up my sleeve and also fate, divine guidance was at play because we had a neighbor just a mile down the road, our closest neighbor, and I would ride my bike over to the neighbor's house. It was a couple who had grown kids, so they were a little bit older than my parents, and the lady, Doreen, had these two horses in her barnyard, in her paddock, and I would ride my bike over there and pester her. Honestly, I can't even like put myself back in that frame of mind that was like, what gave me the gall to just ride my bike over there and chat with this lady and be like, "Can I pet your horses?" Right? But I did that. And we developed a friendship. She let me hang out with her horses. She started teaching me about her horses. She started teaching me how to ride after I got my parents' permission. And so there was a period of a couple years there, a year to 2 years, where I was going and hanging out with Doreen and her horses and learning all about horses and how to ride and how to care for their feet and how to groom them and just all the things, right? So that was around age 11, right? 10, 11, 12, all in that phase. Also around that time, my parents decided it was going to be important for me to get a job outside of the chores and the farm work that I was doing for our family on the farm. And so they arranged with, another set of friends, another farmer who lived on our same 13-mile gravel road, but a little bit further away to yeah, I remember I had to make the call to ask for employment, but I'm sure they did some arranging, like, before that point. But I got a job at 11 years old doing yard work for this other farmer, his wife, just raking up pine needles and pine cones and cleaning up their yard. I was making, like, $5 an hour, and I started saving money, right? I had a job. I had the knowledge. Things were kind of coming into place, and I never gave up on this dream of having a horse, this fixation. I can remember falling asleep at night, just picturing what it would be like to ride my horse, to fly through the pasture, riding bareback, me and my best friend with four legs and four hooves. And so I was in the visualization, in the vibe, in the feeling of it, connecting to it, believing, doing what it takes all along. And this is such a cool thing for me to look back on now that I know manifestation principles and the be, do, have formula, which is like become the identity, do the thing that allows you to have what you want, which is like just the fundamental formula for anything that you want in life, whether that's love or money or better health or six pack abs or a horse. It's like be, do, have. And I was operating under those principles without even knowing it. And lo and behold, yes, I bought a horse for $400 or $500 when I was 12 years old. And I made that dream come true. And that just further cemented in my identity my ability to create reality on my own terms. Now, fast forward into high school, into college, my next real fixation became the game of golf. Now, I know this probably sounds a little bit random from growing up in the middle of nowhere on a farm to playing golf, which is kind of this bougie, posh, like, you know, country clubber, like this is what the rich kids do. But actually, the town that I grew up in had a 9-hole golf course, and my dad is really into golf. So my dad decided that he wanted to have a hobby, something to do with his daughters, me and my older sister, that didn't involve just working on the farm, right? So he started teaching us how to play golf right around that same 10, 11, 12 age is when I started playing golf as well. And then I got hooked. You know, there's nothing like that encouragement from your dad when you hit a good shot and he's just like cheering you on and he's stoked and things are clicking. So that was part of it. And I also got a fire lit under my butt when I started playing in these junior golf tournaments against the girls at the country club who were 12 years old and shooting even par, and I'm out there hacking it up with my grandmother's golf set from the 60s, and I'm shooting like 120, which if you have any concept around golf, you'll know that that's not great. And so it was humiliating being out there, getting my ass handed to me by these girls that are my same age but are wildly better. They have the nicest, newest stuff, and it just lit in me this commitment, this drive to want to get good. And so I made golf my entire personality from like 12 to 22. I got obsessed and I was still working my same job. And I would wake up in the summertime in high school in particular when I was like starting to really get good and win tournaments and I wanted to play in college. So I would wake up at like 5 o'clock to go and play 9 holes of golf to get out to my employer's shop where I would do farm work from 7 till 9 p.m. at night, work a good old 14-hour day so that I could put all of that paycheck in my college savings and I could gain the skills that I needed in order to play golf at the collegiate level. And I ended up making it happen and playing golf in college. I won 3 state championships in golf at the high school level, twice as a team, once as an individual. I made that dream come true to play golf in college and ended up winning the Northwest Conference Championship for my college league as a freshman, which was wild, totally unexpected. So that trajectory from just being this poor, shitty kid golfer to I'm on top of my game, I'm winning tournaments, I have been working hard and saving money in order to get a great set of golf clubs, like have the nicest stuff. Again, 10-year time period, but I never gave up and I never lost focus and I was always willing to work hard to do what it took. Like I said, waking up at 5 a.m. to play 9 holes of golf, to practice, to get to my job by 7, to work a 14-hour day on the farm that I worked at, to get home at 9 o'clock, shower, go to bed, and do it all over again. I did that for an entire summer between high school and college because that's what it took. And all of these stories are just, I'm setting the context for how I became the person that I am today in the entrepreneurship space, in the business world, by demonstrating I had this proof of concept for myself earlier on that I can make decisions, I can work hard to get what I want, and as long as I stay focused and do what it takes, I will make it happen and I will reach my goals because it doesn't just happen. Like, you don't just get good at business without having some sort of evidence that you can trust yourself to show up when the going gets tough, that you can trust yourself to keep going despite the setbacks, despite the challenges, despite all of the signs that are telling you, I should give up, this isn't working. And it's like, that's not how it works. It's never going to be just meant to be. It's never going to just, you know, all the doors are going to open and it's going to be easy because you made one decision. It's going to be hard decision after hard decision after hard decision after like that's the way the game is played. And the only way that you win at the game is by never quitting and never giving up. So let's go back to my story. Coming back in at the college years, which as a sheltered kid from small town America, I never partied in high school. I never did anything. I never had sex till I was 19 years old. So coming into college, I was just this naive, like sheltered little child, right? Started partying, drinking, experimenting with drugs. It was like the sex, drugs, rock and roll chapter of my story. And it was also the part of my story where I got disconnected from who I was, what I wanted, and where I was going. And I just allowed myself to take in a lot of feedback and advice from professors, parents, society, like conversations that I was having with other adults around kind of like what's the path to follow? What are you supposed to do in college? Well, you're supposed to get a good, marketable degree. You're supposed to, get a degree that's going to set you up to have a great job where you're going to make good money and you're going to be safe and secure because you're making great money in a job. And so that's the path that I started putting myself on. There was a period of exploration. I changed my major half a dozen, maybe 10 times before I finally just settled on the business track because I was like, I don't really know what I want at this point. I'm not really feeling called. I'm not really thinking that I'm finding my purpose. So I'll just get a business degree. I'll get a finance emphasis because that's the best version of the business degree. And I'll set myself up to make good money. Now, because you're here, I know you're like me, where we're not actually wired for safety and security. And making the decision to follow the safe path to make money and forgo that sense of I'm a creative, I have a calling, like there's a purpose, there's a higher reason that I'm here in favor of just making money is actually the riskiest, craziest decision to possibly make. Because here's what ended up happening in the midst of all of that was I got so incredibly depressed. I could barely get out of bed. I went from being a straight A student to basically hitting the self-destruct button and like putting myself on the path to flunk out of college in the last semester of senior year because I'm like, I cannot follow through with this degree, get a job that sets me in a cubicle for, you know, 2/3 of my life. I loved being outdoors. I was a farm kid, a golfer. I started getting into backpacking and climbing mountains and exploring in college. And yet every decision that I was making was putting me on this path to stare at spreadsheets and sit in a cubicle. And once I kind of woke up to where I was going, that was the last place that I wanted to do. And so this is what I mean when I say that safety and security is actually the most risky decision for a creative, freedom driven person, is because the downside is like losing your soul. The downside is like becoming so despondent and suicidal that like life is no longer worth living in that state, right? And not everyone is wired this way. Some people truly are wired to seek security, and the idea of freedom, the idea of taking risk is terrifying and not something that they're ready for. I truly believe that there is a creative heart and soul in each and every individual that is intended to be expressed, to be made manifest. And that's part of my mission and reason for doing what I do, is helping creatives make money by self actualizing, by finding their purpose and sharing their gifts with the world. But everyone has a different level of risk that they're willing to tolerate. And for me, making the risky choice to just pursue creativity, pursue adventure was like the least risky thing that I could do, because the path that I was on was like, well, the downside is I just waste away. Like, not good, right? Deep, dark depression, just a shell of this version of myself that you're seeing here today. And so I crawled my way out of that pit of despair, depression that I fell into by getting a dose of tough love and a kick up the bum that was like, take responsibility for your life. You could be so much more. And if you actually did what it takes to become the version of yourself that you're capable of being, you have no freaking clue what kind of doors and opportunities are going to open up and what kind of life is available to you. In fact, you can have anything that you want in the next 3 to 5 years if you are willing to take responsibility, to work hard, to do what it takes to get it. And this message connected with me so deeply because it acknowledged the core truth and the identity that I had already established within myself. That was like, if I work hard, I can have what I want. And I was in this period in my early 20s of having no idea what I actually wanted. I just knew that I wanted to travel. I wanted to have a great relationship with my family. I knew that my family was important to me and I wanted to explore. And so that became my North Star. I finished out my degree knowing that that was a requirement to have a good relationship with my parents, and they supported me in anything that I wanted to do from there. And I was fortunate, or because I worked hard, I was fortunate to graduate from college debt free. I had worked my way through college. I was continuing to work seasonal jobs at golf courses in order to support my lifestyle. So I was fully supporting myself. And I said, you know what? I can keep doing this. And I know that I can come back and work my seasonal job. I can go out and travel for 6 months and I can support myself and I can live on this. And it may not be the thing that my ego wants to attach to that's going to give me that feeling of status and prestige within society, but who fucking cares? Because this is the only kind of life that I can really conceptualize being worth living for me at this point in time. And so I showed up, I did what it took, and incredible opportunities started popping up. I got an idea that I could buy a van and I could live in a van and I could travel North America and I could climb mountains and I could read great books and maybe even write a great book of my own. I'd always loved writing, and that was really my main creative expression medium. And then 2 days before I was about to drive to Seattle to make an offer on this van that I had been eyeing for weeks, I got a phone call. I got a phone call from a friend who was currently living in Florida on this sailboat that he had bought with his brother and his good friend. And the brother and friend had since left, had since moved back up to the Northwest where I was living, where I had met this friend. And he was alone on the boat, but he was committed. He was going to sail off for the Bahamas. And he invited me to join him as crew on the boat. He was trying to start a YouTube channel. He knew I had a passion for writing. So it was just this incredible, like, can't say no opportunity to travel, to write, to tell stories, to express myself creatively, and just see what was going to happen. And when I told my parents that this is what I was going to do, their jaws just hit the floor, right? They were kind of slowly warming up to the idea of me buying a van and living in a van after getting this 4-year finance degree. But the idea of me flying to Florida, moving onto a tiny sailboat, taking off for the Bahamas, leaving the country with a man that they had never met, knew nothing about, um, and coming back someday. Like, I was gonna be buying a one-way ticket, right? Um, yeah, my poor parents, bless their hearts. They said they would support me in anything that I wanted to do, and they did. So I bought the ticket. I flew down to Florida. I got on the boat, and that was the beginning of the rest of my life. Because what happened with the friend was very quickly, the two of us had chemistry. We worked really well together. Within about a month, we were boyfriend and girlfriend. We took on this challenge as a team, neither one of us having much sailing experience at all. Him a bit more than me, but not much. This boat was old. It was breaking down constantly. Neither one of us had any mechanical skills, electric skills, plumbing, like nothing. We knew basically nothing. We're learning it all on the fly. And yeah, we left the US, we cruised through the Bahamas, we're fixing the boat every step of the way, we're learning to sail every step of the way. We made it to the Dominican Republic on our last dime, flew back, got seasonal jobs, came back after 4, 5 months to the boat to keep making videos, to keep working on the boat. And that was the next 5 years of my life from 22 to 27. I did life with this boyfriend, this business partner, this captain. I was the first mate. And this was just a life unlike anything that I could have ever put on a vision board. I didn't know that an option like this existed until it presented myself as an opportunity. So kind of the takeaway here is, like, if you're in a season where you don't actually know what you want, just take the next step. Just come up with your values. Decide what's important to you and what might the next step look like in light of those values. Like I said, for me, it was, I love my family. I want a good relationship with my family. And I've got this itch to travel. I'm falling in love with traveling. I'm really loving adventure and how I'm getting to know myself and finding out what I'm really capable of the more that I embrace adventures. And then lo and behold, this opportunity fell in my lap, right? And through this 5-year chapter of learning online business, content creation, building a YouTube channel, figuring out how to monetize that YouTube channel, figuring out how to do content marketing, like, oh my gosh, building a community, affiliate marketing, building digital products. There was so much graphic design, copywriting, videography, public speaking. I was sweating bullets. Oh my God. The first time he stuck a camera in my face and was like, okay, cool, introduce yourself, I was just absolutely terrified. And I got through something. I choked out some words, but I was bright red. I was sweating. My tongue was just fat and swollen in my mouth and it wouldn't move. And that was my experience of starting to speak to a camera, which we're 8 years in since the time that I first started recording and speaking to a camera. So I just want you to know that what you're seeing now is not the way it always was. And if you are at the beginning of your journey, just starting to speak on camera, give yourself some grace, cut yourself some slack. Do not compare yourself to someone who is 3, 5, 8, 10 years in on their journey because no one is born with these skills that we're all trying to learn as we go. We have different affinities and innate talents that maybe, come more easily for us than they do for others. Writing has always been one of my big skills, talents, passions. Like I've just loved expressing myself and creating through written word. And so you probably have some version of that. Maybe it's graphic design, maybe it is speaking on camera, maybe it's storytelling, maybe it's just life artistry. It's all beautiful. There's no hierarchy here, but giving yourself the permission to be a beginner is such a hack. Be a beginner always, always remain in that beginner mindset where it's like, I can only get better. I need to keep getting better. And even when you reach a state of more or less mastered in your subject area, mastery being the big theme here for this podcast and for my community, the true master is always a student because the second you think that you've got it all figured out, you've lost the plot. Like, there's never going to be a point where everything is all figured out and there's nothing that you could possibly learn to advance yourself further. So, mastery is this beginner mindset, this forever student sort of place that you're operating from. There are so many stories that I could tell you from those 5 years that I spent living on the sailboat, growing a YouTube channel, traveling across the entire Eastern Caribbean, my goodness, the Bahamas, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, Virgin Islands, Grenada, Bermuda, even flew to Greece and did a collaboration with some other sailing YouTubers in Greece. Like, incredible travel and adventure opportunities. So many stories, but this episode's getting pretty long. And so I want to take you to the point in my story that was one of the biggest lessons of all. And that was finding my real purpose and calling in the midst of that lifestyle. So I loved everything that I was doing, but I still had this sense of like, what's my role in all of this? Right. So I felt like coming in and helping out with the YouTube channel, helping out with the boat, helping out with this Bums on a Boat brand mission, like I jumped in with both feet. I made it part of my identity as well. But when it all boiled down, this was my ex-partner's vision and truth. And I hopped right in and helped make it all happen. We grew the YouTube channel to over 40,000 subscribers. We turned it into a full-time business. We sailed thousands of miles, incredible opportunities. Oh my gosh, I learned so much. And yet I was like, there's just this sense that there's got to be something more. And I started working with a business coach at the end of 2020 into 2021. And that was like, holy shit, talk about a fire underneath my butt. Being in this mentor student kind of relationship brought out the absolute best in me. When someone is able to see you, really see you for your gifts and your potential and help you step into that with your own confidence and help you see yourself and just develop more of that potential. Oh my God, there's nothing better. For me, there's no better feeling in the world. That feeling of being seen, like the only thing better is being the mentor and seeing your clients and helping them step into more of their potential. Oh, the aha moments, like, oh my God. Basically, I just fell in love with coaching and I wanted to make other people feel the way that my coach made me feel. I absolutely took off working with her. Like, I really dialed in on content creation and writing. She helped me write a book and publish this ebook, audiobook that was just my heart and soul and my expression. And oh my gosh, what an incredible experience. And so that was my taste of what the coaching industry was really like. And then in 2022, I decided, you know what? I've been having so many conversations with young couples who are in this sailing and traveling world who want to learn how to do a YouTube channel and monetize this YouTube channel so that they can live a full-time life of adventure. I bet I could coach them. I bet I could distill what we've done into a system, a methodology that I could teach to other people. And so I launched my first ever coaching offer and I got 5 clients in the first launch. It was incredible. It was like truly stepping into my purpose, realizing that fulfillment is actually giving back and helping others. And this was all I wanted to do, right? Unfortunately, or fortunately, it's all happening for our highest and best, right? It's all part of the story. It's all meant to be. This was like the breaking point for my relationship. So he had so much resistance to me stepping into this role as a coach, as a mentor. He felt threatened that it was going to take away from the channel, from our other monetization avenues. Whereas I was thinking, this is just adding to it. This is just, another stream of income. This is me being fully lit up and giving back and giving the people, our community, what they really want. Anyways, the relationship ended. I made the decision to end the relationship, to walk away from that business, from everything, the boat, the joint bank accounts, all of the platforms that we'd built. I just left it all with him and I said, basically, this has been amazing. I'm so grateful for everything. And now it's time for me to walk my own path. And that was, of all the things that I've done, of all the decisions that I've made, one of the absolute hardest to end that relationship and the entire life that was wrapped up in that relationship. And so at 27 years old, I moved home to the family farm and I started over with nothing but the skills that I had learned, the talents that I possessed, and with the confidence that I'd built one online business to full time, I could do it again. And this time I would do it my way. I would do it as a coach. I would do it as a mentor. And so, oh my gosh, it's almost been 3.5 years from that decision. It has been a long road of figuring out, okay, what's my new niche? What am I here to offer when, I'm a business coach, but I walked away from the business. So I don't actually have a business to point to. Like, this is the thing that I've built, but I don't have it now. Like, there was a lot of imposter syndrome. There was a lot of like self doubt and shadows that came up in that time of like, well, I have these skills, but I don't have the proof. I don't have something to point to. And I don't want to like do another lifestyle vlog. And so what am I going to teach people how to do if it's not that? And so I ended up teaching content creation, storytelling, and really creative self actualization is where I started getting traction and started helping people and getting clients again and making a difference. And then as I built up my coaching business from there, I added on high ticket offers and sales. And now I've built out this incredible offer suite. Like, oh my gosh, it's a university program, a full degree packed into 6 months, and it's business and messaging mastery. It is my signature flagship program that takes a new coach, healer, personal brand, teacher who's struggling with gaining traction to full time in their business, earning 5K to 10K months, fully expressed in their creative gifts, serving dream clients, having a signature offer, a clear, dialed in client acquisition system, showing up consistently, prolifically on social media to grow their brand and their influence. This program is absolutely everything. And it's the shortcut because it took me 2 years to put all the pieces together. And then that third year to really make it happen. It's only in the last year and a half that I've been full time in my business. And so, man, what a gift that I can take all of these puzzle pieces that I had to figure out myself and piece together from different mentors and courses and programs to put it into one package, one streamlined 6-month roadmap to make it happen so much faster for you and for my students. And the results speak for themselves. Oh my God. With my methods, I've had clients go from 100 followers, never signing any clients from Instagram to 1,000 followers, 5 high ticket clients just in the time that we work together. I've had clients go from really struggling, not even 5K months in their business, to hitting their first 10K month, then their first 20K month. I've had students come to me in a sales slump. I tweak one thing in their DMs process or in their sales flow, and they hit an additional 3K in revenue in just 4 weeks. I have a student right now inside of Business and Messaging Mastery who is just in the very beginning stages, but she is just absolutely skyrocketing. She's signed 3 clients since we've started working together. We haven't even dialed in her signature offer yet because she's still in just level 1 of the program. But she's taking off with the principles, the self mastery, the energetic mastery principles that I teach. Also, the one-on-one coaching is just allowing her to elevate and accelerate like never before. We talk about it all the time. She's just in this vortex of magnetizing insane opportunities, clients, living her best life. It's the most incredible thing to see. And that's been my story. And there's there's a lot of other pieces and puzzles and factors that came into it within that chapter of starting over. I also got really, really clear on the type of man who I wanted to attract into my life, the type of husband, father of my kids that I was looking for. And so I manifested him. I attracted him within that period of also going all in on my business despite proof, despite evidence. And so incredible things happen when you go all in, when you commit to yourself, when you decide, no matter what, this is what I'm doing and I won't stop until I reach the goal. And actually, I mean, the hack is really understanding that the journey is everything and the destination is just a bonus, because what's better than the money, what's better than the partner, what's better than, these results or goals being actualized in your life is the kind of person, the kind of woman that you become in the process of getting yourself to that goal. And we talked about risk and we talked about safety. And at the beginning, those of us that have a higher risk tolerance tend to be in the entrepreneurial space because we're more motivated by freedom than we are safety and security. But the true safety, the true security is feeling absolutely settled in who you are, feeling absolutely proud of the person that you've become, of the decisions that you're making every single day. And when you can truly say that, when you can truly rest in that, I am proud of who I am, the woman that I've become, the decisions that I make, the way that I lead my life every single day. Like that's the goal. That's the journey. That's the destination. That's the best feeling, to truly trust yourself and own everything that you are and who you are, loving all your decisions. That's real safety. That's inner safety. And when you reach that point, like the money, the clients, the love, the body, whatever you're manifesting or calling in, that just becomes inevitable. Like the be, do, have, like once you're being the person who does the things that make you a match for the things that you desire, it just drops in even better than you could have ever imagined possible. My boyfriend, Paul, is an amazing example of this. Like, I started over. I left my past relationship. I was like, okay, that was good, but it wasn't everything that I'm looking for in a partner. What am I looking for in a partner? So I made a list. I did a lot of journaling. I love to write things down. And when I met Paul and I reflected back on my list, it's like he doesn't even compare to the list of things that I decided that I wanted, that I decided I was worthy of, right? He is so much more than that. And so it's amazing to know what you want in order to give yourself some kind of direction to go in order to take the next step, but also just be prepared that what's actually meant for you is so much better than you could have ever imagined for yourself. And I mean that in business, in relationships, all of the things, right? Because at the end of the day, we're taking the steps, we're holding a big vision, but what's meant for us, whatever you believe in, whether you use the word God or universe or mother nature or higher power, like that's really who and what we're communing with and what we're responding to as we build this relationship with life, as we play chess with the universe. And you make one move, and the universe either responds with a challenge or an opportunity or an open door. And then you take another step and you take another move, and you're just walking blindly down the path, taking one step at a time. You don't know where the path is going ultimately. You might have some desires, you might have some ideas, but it's gonna be even better and way more perfect than you could have ever planned for yourself. So be brave, be committed no matter what. That is the whole message, mic drop for this episode is just be brave. Become the kind of woman that you'll be proud to be. And if you're not there yet, just get clear on who you need to be, the truths that you need to speak, the actions that you need to take in order to be proud of who you're becoming. And that gets us to the end of the episode. So thank you for joining me here today. Oh, and the opportunity that I have for you to get your hands on Creative Business Accelerator, my incredible 12-hour course to take you from 0 to 10K, that first jump to getting your first 5 high ticket clients, is available for you when you leave a comment or you leave a review on this episode, whether you're watching on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast, doesn't matter. Just leave a comment, leave a review, screenshot that review, and send it to me on Instagram at Michael Emily Schuster, and I will send you access to this course completely for free. And I would love it if it was a 5-star review, positive review, but I'm always open to feedback and suggestions. So if there is anything that you want me to talk about, questions that you have, ideas that you think would make the show even better, do not hesitate. I'd love to hear that as well. All right, that's it, my loves. I will see you next time. Mwah.